Episode 15, Eccentric. Warning. Listeners' discretion is advised for mature audience only. Hey, look, check this out. Before getting into this episode, I would like to take a moment to give a moment of silence for and to send my condolences to all of the many men and women who have lost their lives or who may have lost family or friends to the countless wars that were fought around the world, foreign and domestic. This recording is by no means meant to show a blatant disregard to those who have lost and sacrificed so much to the point of relinquishing their souls. And with all due respect, their moment of silence will start now. Now, without further ado, never in a million years would I have thought that I would be telling this story, but it's a part of the story, so I must tell it. And about a week or so after I had pranked the Department of Justice, the Court of Criminal Appeals, CNN, TMZ, Fox News, Good Morning America, USA Today, and all sorts of big colleges and churches such as Yale, Princeton, Harvard, and Joel Osteen Church in Texas, I was visited by one of the internal affairs ladies at the prison. And as she walked towards the door of the maximum security cell I was in and noticed me standing in the doorway watching her as she approached, she started to point at me and talk in an inaudible voice, excuse my jargon, to where I could only read her lips that expressed, "You motherfucker, I will beat your motherfucking ass." And by this time, she was standing right in front of me as she continued with, "What the fuck is wrong with you? Why the fuck you sending them people that letter telling them that you gonna bomb them?" And I said, ain't nothing wrong with me. I just wanted to tell them that I changed my life, that I gave my life to God, that I'm a different man now. And she asked, why you just didn't send them a letter with some hearts and flowers on it and tell them that you changed your life like that instead of sending them letters with bullets and grenades drawn all on it? And I said, cuz they would have never got their attention. People don't respond to all that mushy stuff. People don't respond to nothing but boom. That's the only thing that get their attention. Then she said, "Then you had the nerve to send that letter to some people in Oklahoma. Don't you know that Oklahoma had a bombing back in the day? You got them people scared out their mind." And I said, "Nah, I ain't know that." And she said, "Yeah, and the U.S. Marshals been down here all day talking about your ass." And I said, "For real?" And she said, "Yeah, and they don't come and arrest your ass." And I said, "Look at me." And she looked at me, and I said, "I'm already in prison. How in the world they gonna come and arrest me?" And she said, "Nah, they gonna come and re-arrest your ass." And I said, "Hold up, wait a minute. So you telling me that they gonna let me go and come back and re-arrest me? Oh, well, tell them come on then. Because one thing about it, if they let me go and talk about coming back to re-arrest me, they ain't got to worry about it. Because they ain't gonna be able to find me because I'm gonna be out on the run." And that's when she put her head in her hand and shook it from left to right and looked back at me and asked, "What in the world am I going to do with you?" And I said, "Let me out the back door like Martin did for Dave Chappelle on Blue Street." And she laughed. And because I had on dark glasses to hid my eyes, she told me to take your glasses off and let me see your eyes. And that's when I took my glasses off and looked her in the eyes. And she said, "Yep, your ass crazy as shit." And I laughed and put my glasses back on. And she asked, "Have you always been this way?" And I asked, "What way is that?" And she said, "Eccentric." And because I didn't know what that word meant at the time, I asked her, "What that word mean?" And she said, "Special." And I asked, "So you really do think I'm crazy, don't you?" And she said, No. I don't mean it like that. I'm saying like unique, different. It's like everybody else are circles, and you're the only square. And I said, "Well, since you put it like that, I'll say yes, because I don't know anybody who's anything like me at all, period." And that's when I changed the subject and asked her, "When you going to come see me? Because you know I told you that I got some valuable information that's going to save the lives of a lot of people." And she said, "Yeah, I know. I just been busy." And I asked, "So are you going to come see me? Just tell me." And she said, "Yeah, I'm going to come see you. I just got to get caught up." So I asked, "When they going to be?" And she said, "You know what? I'm going to make you a promise." And I said, "Nah, don't make me no promise that you ain't going to keep." And she said, "I'm going to keep it." Then she took out her phone and took a picture of my book cover that I had in place of my mugshot door sheet picture. And she said, "Sir, I'm going to come see you Friday." And I asked, What that supposed to mean? I see y'all take pictures of people's door sheets all the time, and y'all still don't do what it is y'all tell them that y'all gonna do. Then I said, if you want to convince me, then put me on your calendar as a reminder. And she asked me, how you know about cell phones? And I looked at her crazy and thought to myself, girl, I done had so many cell phones since I've been in prison, you ain't talking about nothing. And when she was done adding me to her calendar, she held her phone up to where I could see it and said, see, there, you're on the calendar for Friday. And I said, okay. And she began to walk away. And I told her, don't stand me up. And she said, I'm not. And she disappeared. And after she was gone, I pulled out my dictionary to look up the word eccentric, but my dictionary didn't have it. So I yelled across the park and asked another guy to look it up for me. And when he found it, he told me that the 4 entries he had were: number 1, tending to act in strange or unusual ways; number 2, strange or unusual; number 3, not following a perfectly circular path; and number 4, a person who acts in strange or unusual ways, an eccentric person. And now, armed with these definitions, I sat back and pondered as my creative juices started to flow. Nope, that don't sound right. As my creative coffee started to brew. Yep, that sounds better. And as my creative coffee started to brew, that's when I took out a pen and pad, and on the first page, I drew about 15 circles, where at the top of the page, I drew a square box with the word eccentric in the center, and at the bottom of the page, I drew a rectangular box with the words bipoetic artillery inside. And on the rest of the pages to follow, I wrote on them all the things that I had on my mind to tell her in this meeting set for Friday to save the lives of a lot of people. And there was a book. And to learn more about me, you can always subscribe to my YouTube channel at Romarcus Echoes and my podcast at First General. And you can always write me at Romarcus Echoes, TDOC number 441514, address 7475 Cockrell Bean Boulevard, Nashville, Tennessee 37243. And to support me to where you can hear more of me, you can always put money on my books at jpay.com. That's the letter J, PAY.com. Straight up. Until next time, stay up. Peace.